What's up, everybody? Hope you're having a great Friday and good luck in the woods if you're hunting this weekend. I made a post earlier today about tracking off interdigital gland, and it seemed to be very popular. A lot of folks copied and pasted it and liked it, and so I just wanted to come to you and kind of show you. That way you could understand more about what actually is taking place here, because it's a lot more cool if you actually see it in person. So um, what the post was about was when you have a deer tracking dog, a lot of times people worry about your dog tracking every deer on the property. Okay, so when me and Katniss go out to find your deer, let's say you shoot one, we are not tracking every deer on your property. We are tracking your specific deer. We're tracking your hurt deer. The way she does that is she's trained on what's called interdigital gland. Deer have a bunch of different glands on their bodies, between their heads, around their arms, and in between their toes. The one that is concerning to us is the one that's between the toes. That is like the fingerprint of the deer. That's kind of the deer's stamp. That is your deer. That's your specific deer. That's what kind of the Lord gave them to be able to find each other, to be able to smell each other. That is your deer. So got a deer hoof here for you. Just wanted to show you. Hopefully you guys can see this. So if you look in between the deer hoof right there, you'll see a little hole right there. That is where the interdigital gland is. I'm going to show you something kind of cool here. You take a screwdriver here, and you can stick it up in that gland. It's pretty interesting. It'll go a pretty good ways in there, and that is your deer. That is the smell that Katniss looks for when she goes to find your deer. That is it. So, and if you'll look right there, you can see it's pretty dang obvious that it is right in there. So when she comes out to your place and you've shot a deer, that is the smell. That's where the smell comes out that she's looking for. That is a hurt deer and a stressed deer. So she'll come out and she might take your track 200 yards, and then she might give up on it. At that time, that is when that deer's stressed from being shot. That's when they calm down. So that deer's no longer emitting the smell that she's looking for. Now, if it's let's say it's a shoulder shot deer, a brisket shot deer, something like that, that deer may be stressed out to 600 yards. And she might take your track, she might line it out and just blast away at it for 600 yards and then give up on it. At that point, that's where your deer settled down. We typically find that within 800 yards, if your deer's going to settle down, it's usually settled down within 800 yards, and we can call the track. It's pretty simple. We don't go in there and run every deer on your property. We don't spook deer. We've tracked deer and then come out, and people have rack buck deer on their cameras, trail cameras, 30 minutes after we leave. I mean, we don't mess around. Typically, our recovery time is 30 minutes or less. I mean, if we're looking for more than 30 minutes, a lot of times it's a pretty marginally shot deer that more than likely won't be recovered. Typically, our good recoveries are 30 minutes or less, so we can be in and out of your property and let the deer be settling down, and you can hunt that next morning. I mean, it doesn't affect those deer at all. So you don't have to worry about, a dog running. A good deer dog will not run. A good wounded deer dog that's looking for wounded deer will not run every deer on your property. That's just not something she's going to do. Now, she may, if she jumps a live deer that's on that track, she may run it 150 yards or so just out of being a dog, and then she'll back off and come back to me, because that deer is not emitting that footprint that she's looking for. So once she runs it 150 yards, she's like, oh, this isn't a hurt deer. so she'll back off of it and come back to me. Another interesting fact, though, I will mention something that we see very, very often. So let's say you've shot the buck of a lifetime, and you want to get that deer mounted. It's a giant buck, let's say, and you want to put that deer on your wall. The best thing you can do is to shoot that deer and back out. And let me tell you why. This wounded deer scent, nationwide, is proven to attract coyotes. I mean, that's obvious, right? So let's say you shoot and you gut shot your trophy buck, your hit list deer that you've been after all year, the one that you want to kill. And let's say you go in there and you jump that deer, and that deer leaves this scent. That deer leaves this scent for 800 yards through the woods, and you jump that deer and you jump him 2 or 3 times and you run that deer 1,500 yards. Well, guess what? This hurt scent that dogs love, that coyotes and predators love, is all through the woods for 1,500 yards. So that night, while your deer is laying down, bedded down to die, every coyote that comes across that trail for 1,500 yards is going to pick up on that scent, and they're going to come to your deer. That's guaranteed. We've seen it happen time and time again. Now, on the flip side of that, let's say you gut shot your trophy buck, and you know it's a gut shot, and you back out, and that deer runs out there 200 yards, beds down, and dies. Well, a coyote has to come in that 200-yard section to pick your deer scent up, to pick up that wounded deer scent. So it's only got a 200-yard section to pick that deer scent up, as opposed to you tracking this deer scent, this wounded deer scent, for 1,500 yards. So my advice to anyone that makes a marginal shot on a big buck, but any deer really, would be to not push that deer, especially if you're wanting to get that deer mounted, especially if you're wanting to recover that deer, because you keep pushing that deer, and as you push that deer, you're leaving a trail for every predator in that area. And we see it time and time again that deer that are left to die, that run out 200 yards and bed down, very, very rarely is that deer ever going to be eat by coyotes or something the next morning. However, if you take that same deer and you push that deer 1,500 yards, 1,800 yards, you push that deer a mile through the woods, every coyote within a mile that night is going to go to your deer, and it's going 9 times out of 10 that deer is going to be eat up when we find it. So just something to keep in mind. Wait times are very important. We found deer 26, 28 hours after the shot, so it's not very concerning for a dog to just let it sit overnight and then go in there and find it. But just some useful dog knowledge. Like I said, we're not running every deer. Your deer has a footprint that is much like your fingerprint, and so when your deer gets shot, it is leaving its fingerprints all over the place, and those fingerprints are what dogs are following. So if you have any questions, hit me up on Messenger. Be more than happy to answer any questions for you. I am going to be training some hunt dogs this coming year, so if you're interested in having a dog, give me a shout. Be more than happy to train one for you. Hunger Games Tracking, like us on Hunger Games Tracking page for all the fun dog knowledge, and we're available 24/7. Look forward to finding your trophy this year. Good luck and be safe.